Coronado's expedition heads into what is now western New Mexico, southeastern Arizona, and encounter the Zuni people. And after a couple of clashes, set up a base amongst the Zuni, but they're not really finding what they were looking for. They had been told that there was a great amount of wealth to be had, and what they're finding is people that clearly were afraid of some of their neighbors because they're living on top of big flat-top mesas. This is the remnants and sort of the after effects of the collapse of the Anasazi culture that we've explored in earlier lessons. So Coronado thinks there must be some other place with a better array of wealth that he can then report back some progress. His scouts come back from the Rio Grande Valley and say, yeah, why don't we head over there? At least they've got food. When he takes his troops, numbering in the 600 range, into the Rio Grande Valley, he encounters what are the Tiwash people. And the Tiwash people were not particularly interested in being conquered by the Spanish. And so they put up a pretty fierce fight. And as a result, the Spanish essentially conquered all those villages right there in the middle Rio Grande country of present-day New Mexico, drove the inhabitants from their homes, took over their supplies, ate their corn, and the Tiwash people were hoping that they could just, have the Spanish in, feed them a couple of dinners and have them move on, but the Spanish kept lingering. And so it led to outright war, and the Tiwash people are essentially destroyed, driven off. The Spanish now have a base of operations in the middle Rio Grande Valley, but they still are not discovering the great, fabulous civilizations that they had been told to expect. Having conquered the Tiwash people and establishing a base of operations, Coronado's desperate to find something that will pay on this expedition. Remember, conquistadors are military entrepreneurs. You only get a license from the government if the government thinks there's going to be a return on an investment. You're only going to ask for a license for entrada if you think that you're going to make some money, because you're financing this out of your own hip, out of your own wallet. So he is desperate to find some way to make this expedition pay. Well, there's a prisoner that has been living amongst the Pueblos, that the Tiwash people, present-day Pueblos, that they dubbed the Turk. And they call him the Turk because they think he looks Turkish. The reason the Spanish would call him a Turk is because the Spanish had fought a lot of Turks. They were busy engaged in warfare with the Turks in the eastern Mediterranean. So here in what is now the southwestern United States, they have a guy that they think looks kind of like a Turk. So he gets that name. He was probably from the ancestors of the present-day Pawnee Nation. This guy was from out in the middle of the Great Plains, somewhere between the Arkansas River and the Platte River in present-day Kansas and Nebraska. The Turk said, look, you guys are looking for the big score. I will take you to Gran Quivira. I will take you to the big, fabulously wealthy settlements up north. Well, what he was actually probably trying to do was to get a one-way ticket home with a military escort. The Spanish took the bait, and in 1541 they head out into what is now the panhandle of Texas. They discover the Llano Estacado, the Staked Plains, which was essentially a vast sea of grass. They went off over the Caprock into the Redland Canyons country. They passed up into present-day Oklahoma and into Kansas. Finally, they decided that this guy was not leading them any place that was going to be Gran Quivira. In fact, he was just leading them out into an endless sea of grass. So they decided to strangle the Turk to death. They garroted him and turned around and went back to the Tiwash country. Once back in New Mexico, Coronado is actually injured in a horse wreck. There's some skirmishing. He's already been wounded once on this expedition when he was fighting against the Zuni. Now he's had a horse wreck in New Mexico, and his greatest expedition had discovered nothing but miles and miles of miles and miles. So he cuts his losses and says, I am ready to go home. In 1542, he bags it all and heads back into Mexico. Well, based on all this, what sort of report do you think he delivers? Because the government wants to know, where's our money? Where's the return? We gave you a license to go up there and conquer this country, to explore the great northern mystery. Where is Nuevo Mexico? Coronado says, if it's up there, I didn't see it. And I can't really tell you what's up there worth having. So, by the middle of the 1540s, the sentence has been passed on what is now Texas. Rough country, and not much there worth having. As the Spanish went out onto the Great Plains, they discovered new curiosities, both in landforms and terrain, but also in people. They encountered a new group of people, the Carechos, that we would recognize today as Plains Apaches, and others that lived in sort of curious beehive-shaped grass huts that he called the Teyas. We would call them Wichitas. But they were certainly different than the people that had been encountered in the middle Rio Grande Valley, the Pueblos, so named by the Spanish because they lived in villages. The Carechos and the Teyas, these guys moved around a lot, and they hunted another curiosity to the Spanish, vast herds of buffalo.